Hello, SQL lovers. Welcome to today's section. So today we are going to look at set operators. All right. So first of all, what are set operators? Set operators are used to combine or compare the result sets of two or more select queries. They must meet this requirement. Each select statement must have the same number of columns. The columns must have compatible data types. The column order matters. All right. So then the set operators we're going to look at are, we're going to look at union. We're going to look at except. We're going to look at intersect. All right. So these are the three set operators we're going to look at today. Okay. So union also have a union all right. So we're going to take them one after the other. So let's start with union. All right. So when we talk about union, union combines the result of two queries into a single result set, eliminating duplicates. All right. So these are the tables we're going to use for today's section. So I had to separate them so that we'll be able to understand it. So that's why I separated. So in this table, transaction table, we have January and February. So these two transaction table, right, they contain separate details, all right? They are not the same. So, but they are different tables. So, for instance, we have transactions that were made in January and we have transactions that were made in February, all right? So that's for this table. So this one also is our transaction that were made in May and August. So, but I purposely made them to be the same information, right? So this contain the same information so that this will enable us to look at intercept and accept, all right? So this one contains some duplicates, right? If we run it, some of the data, if some of the information, some of the rows are the same, all right? So I did that purposely to enable us to understand this lesson very well, all right? So let's go ahead and start with union, all right? So we said that union eliminates duplicates, okay? So when you're using union to combine, for instance, we have multiple tables that we want to work with and you have to combine them, right? So we are going to use union to do that, all right? So because we don't want duplicate, we just want unique rows. So for instance, these two tables now, if I want to combine them together, because they are just two separate tables, right? They are just two separate tables. They are two separate tables. For if I want, because when we ran it before, you can see like if I run this one, it's separate, right? So we have 5 rows. If I run this one, it's separate table. So but now I want to bring these tables together. So what I will do, I'll use union or sorry, union. That's what we're talking about. So when I use union, it's going to combine this table into one table for me. You see? So we're having 10 rows. Remember before, two of them were having five rows. So now they're having 2 rows. So we'll not be able to see that if it eliminates duplicate or not because these data are unique, right? None of the table contain duplicate, all right? So let's look at union with data that contain duplicate. So these two tables now are the same thing. Like they contain the same data type, the same row. So I purposely do that. I purposely did that so that I'll be able to understand it, okay? So this and this contain the same thing. Let me run them together so that you see. You see? So because they contain the same thing, right? If I use union all, it's going to eliminate the duplicate. It's only because they are the same thing. So it's only going to give me 5 rows. Remember, when I ran it before, when I ran it on the table that are different, it's it gave me the 10 rows because none of them were duplicates. So it just gave me 10 rows, right? So let's check it on data that is having duplicate. So union, You see, we're only having 5 rows. So it's only going to give you the unique rows, no duplicates. That's what union basically does. So when we now check it here, some are duplicate. It's still the same thing. It's going to eliminate the duplicates and just give you the ones that are unique. So here, if we run it, so it means that out of the 10 rows we're supposed to have, that 2 are duplicate. That's why we're having this. So these are the unique values, right? It will remove the duplicate values. That's the work of union. So if you have tables that you want to join together, right, then you use union to do that. So then we have another set operator that we call union or. Okay, so union or is similar to union, but includes duplicates in the result set. All right. So this union or, if I want all my data, I don't want you to remove anything. I want everything in my January and February table. Please give me everything. So if I run this, it's still going to give me the 10 rows because we don't have duplicates in this particular table, right? They are different. So, but when I now run it on my May and August table, union or. So because here they are the same data, we can only, union or will give us everything, 10 rows. You remember union gave us only 5 rows, right? But union or will give us everything, whether they are duplicates or not. It's going to give us everything. So let's check this. You see? So union or will give us everything. All right, but union remove duplicates. Why union or include duplicates? Okay, so that's the difference between union or and union. Union adds everything. Sorry, union remove duplicates. Why union or include duplicates? Okay, so that's for union and then union or. All right, so we're going to look at intersect. Okay, so when we are looking at intersect, intersect returns only the rows that are common to both queries. All right. So it's going to give us where they are matching, only the rows that are common to both queries. So if my January table is having 500, for instance, and my February table is having 500, so with other details that are separate, it's going to return that 500 that system can find both January table, both here and here. That's what is going to return. So that's what intersect does. It returns the rows that are matching, that it can find in the other table. All right. So this is the keyword for that, intersect. All right. So when I now do intersect here, it's going to be empty. You know why? Because this data, the rows, none of them are matching. So because intersect is going to return the common row the row that is common to both queries. But this one now is returning nothing because all the rows are different. All right. So that's when we're having different data type, right? Different data, right? So let's check its intersect on this tables where we are having the same data. So in this our table now, we are having the same data. So when we use intercept here, it's going to, because what this is basically doing, we are giving system transaction for May, and we're saying, please look at this August transaction. Give us any transaction that is in May, and you can find it in August. Please give us those transactions. So that's what we are basically doing. So this data type are the same. So what it means, we're going to get 5 rows because whatever is here is here. So system will look at this table in May and look at August and now saying everything that is in May, I can also find it in August. So that's what this is doing. You see, everything that is in May is in August. That's why we're having 5 rows. Okay. So then let's look at intersect in a table that contains some duplicates, right? So if you look at this table now, September, our table, we have 5 rows also. Then here, in the other one, we have 5 rows, but let me basically show you so that you will understand what this will give us. So if you look at this table, the only thing I changed this. It's just the amounts, but they are not the same because system, if you want to check if rows are duplicate, you start from here, from this to this, for it to say this is duplicate. All the columns, all the rows in each column must match for it to be duplicate. So here now, basically, from here to here and from here to here, they are not the same thing, right? So because I changed the amount, just the amount. So I changed this 100 to 700. I changed the 300 to 200, and I changed it. So this and this now are not matching. So if we do intersect, it's only going to give us where they are matching, all right? Which is matching here, 800 and 600, right? So, but here and here is not matching. So let's look at our data for that. Let's uncomment. So, you see? So it's only going to give you the rows that are in first table if you can find it in second table, all right? So this is the work of intersect, all right? So we're going to look at the last operator, so which is except. We're going to look at except. So the except return rows from the first query that are not in the second query, just like we're saying opposite of intersect, right? So return anything that is in the first query and not in the second. That's the work of this except. Okay, so let's look at it. So for this except now, you know, this and this table, they are not the same, right? So if I use except here, it's going to return whatever that is here, and it did not find it here. So it will help you to know your unique rows, right? So when we run it here, everything that is here is not here. So definitely we're going to get 5 rows. You see, 5 rows because there are no unique values. Okay, so let's check it when we are having same data. So when we are having same data, we're telling it return everything that is here and not here. It's not going to give us anything because this table contains the same information. Because they contain the same information, we're not going to have anything because none of them, you see, none of them is different, all right? They are all duplicates, like whatever is here is in the other table. And this except is to return what is here that is not here. So look at it, we are not having any result, all right? So when we now check this same except, so you have some table and there are some duplicates. You just want your unique values, all right? So the system will check your September table and look out for anything that is here that is not here, right? It's going to return everything that is in September and not in November. So bravo, you right? Unlike intercept, it returned 2, right? Because 2 are the only unique value we are having, the common row between the two tables. So right now, it's returning 3 because 3 is where these two tables are not the same. Okay? So then remember the key point to note, all right? So whenever you're using set operators to combine your data, all right, you must have the same number of columns, all right? And the data type must be the same, okay? And the columns arrangement matter, the order matters, okay? So for us to test that out, we're going to look at this now. So I'm saying select everything from my transaction table and then select from my February table, right? That's what this select statement is doing. Apart from this, let's uncomment this. So this thing, I want everything in my January table and I want everything in my February table. So this are what these two statements are doing, okay? So they are the same column, right? So if I'm using set operators now, and I go ahead to say, I want Let's say I want transaction ID. Okay, let's say I want transaction date. Good. I want amount. And I want description. Okay. So I want these three columns from my January table. And then I come here and say I want everything from February table. This is not going to work. All right, because I'm using set operators. So you should know when to use join and when to use set operators. All right. So, join, we add columns, right? It will get columns that are identical or related columns together. Okay. So, but this set operators is adding row. All right. So it adds rows. So if you're having 20 rows, for instance, and the other table is 10, and when you use something like union or, so it's going to be 30 rows. It's not like the same, it's not the same thing as join, because join, if I'm having 20 rows and I'm using join, I'm still going to have 20 rows because it's going to join the columns, not row, like not under the table. All right. So this will not work because I'm getting transaction date, amount, and description. All right, so you see, all queries combined using a union, intersect, or a set operator must have an equal number. It must have an equal number of expression in their target list. So everything you are to add must be the same thing. All right, that's the first thing to note when using set operator. And then the second thing, the calling must have the same data type, compatible data type. So if, for instance, I'm still adding the same thing that is here, but now, okay, let's put this. I want transaction date. I want amount. And then I want description. So you see, this is also not going to work because if you look at my arrangement now, so you have to arrange your column, right? So this is transaction data type. Sorry, this is transaction date, and this is amount. So they are not of the same data type. Amount and transaction date is not the same data type. You see the error we are getting. Operand type crash. Decimal is incompatible with date. So always make sure that your data types are the same. That's the only time it can work. All right. So then the third thing to note is almost the same thing with this, the order, your arrangement. Right? You have to arrange it pretty well because if it's not arranged, it will not work because it means data type. So for instance, let's even assume that I'm having description. Okay, we have to look for something that is even of the same data type. Your data will be messed up if you did not order it well. For instance, let's check this. Okay, let's use this to check this. So let's check this table now so that we'll see. Okay, so let's use this transaction ID and customer ID. All right, so let's use these two. I think they are the only ones that are related. Let's use this two. So transaction ID and customer ID. Let's still use it here. Transaction ID, customer ID. And then here, I'm writing customer ID. And here, I'm writing transaction ID. So you see, I swapped the two columns. Here, transaction ID is first, and here, customer ID is first. So let's just use union. Okay, so let's run this. All queries combined using a union, intercept, or accept must have an equal number of expression in their target list. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm having more than. So this is having description. You must have the same number, okay? You must have the same number. So bravo. So this is what I'm trying to explain. So the order, so even if they're having the same data type, right? And you're swapping, okay, look at this now. This data is not clean at all. Like it's something that is terrible to do, right? So this is transaction ID, this is customer ID from the first table. And this table now, I swapped it. This is customer ID and this is transaction ID. So this doesn't make sense, right? So you always have to note these three important things. Make sure your columns are arranged in order accordingly. Make sure you're having the same data type in each column, all right? And also make sure that you have compatible data type. So these are the three things to note, okay? So I'll be giving out exercises on this soon, okay? So but before we end today's section, I also want to recap what we've studied, all right? So the first thing we studied is union, okay? We said that union removes duplicates. When you want to combine your data, the union will remove duplicates, right? That's what we say. And then union all is opposite of union. Union all is going to add everything. It includes duplicates. And then we have intersect, all right? So we said that intersect will bring out the common rows between the two tables, right? Then we have except. So the except is just like opposite of that intersect. It's going to give us data or rows that are in the first table, but are not in the second table, all right? So I forgot to mention, you can join as many tables as you want. You can union many tables as you want. So if I want to combine these four tables, I can do that, all right? I can do that if I want to do it, I can. So you can, it's not only two tables. This is just for it to be simple for us, all right? So you can join as many tables as you want. Let's do union also, that we can even see all the data. So if we're having five rows in each column, so we're supposed to have 20 rows. That's what we're supposed to have, all right? So let's check this out. Union all. You see? So you can add as many tables as you want. It doesn't have to be two tables. So depending, even if you have up to 20 tables, like your data is from January, each month is having a separate table, and you want to combine January to December data, you can do it this way, okay? Provided you remember the rules, all right, to use this, okay? So that will be the end of our lesson today. Thank you all for staying through today's lesson on SQL set operators. So we've explored how union, intersects, and excepts allow us to compare and manipulate data across tables, giving us powerful tools to handle complex queries. I hope you found this section insightful and feel more confident in using these operators in your work or studies, okay? So as we wrap up, remember practice is key to mastering SQL, all right? Stay curious, keep learning, and I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you all.